went to vocational high school in Brooklyn. It
Okay.
was a William E. Grady vocational high school to study specifically electrical. And
Okay.
I was determined to go to this school. Guidance counselors were trying to steer me away. They were saying, why is such an academically strong student wanted to go to a trade school? It was looked at as kids didn't go to the school. They were just sent there by default, right? And it wasn't like you didn't need a 90 or an A, whatever, to get into the school. It was almost like, the riffraff. So when
People
I
like
went,
me.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm back, and I know I'm late. Appreciate y'all's patience. We just executed the construction career day here in San Antonio, Texas. We had over 300 high school students from 14 high schools, 5 groups competing, building their behinds off. They all did a really fantastic job, and about a dozen employers out there connecting our youth with employers in the construction industry. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Shout out to the Rockstar committee that really helped bring that whole darn thing together. I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to doing it again next year. Okay, enough with the excuses. This conversation is with Mr. Edward Rivera, your elevator pal. I connected with him via LinkedIn, and he's a straight up genuine dude. If you find him on LinkedIn, Edward Rivera, your elevator pal, check his stuff out. It's like super down to earth, super cool, like positive, straight up, energizing. And he was the same way, of course, over the interwebs, us talking back and forth. And someday I'm gonna hang out with the guy. He was at the job site while we were doing the interview, which is like the coolest. And in this conversation, he and I connected on so many levels. Like, he was speaking straight to my heart, really making me miss my days out there on the job site. I bet a few of y'all are going to be able to relate with this one topic. We were talking about posting stuff on social media and how uncomfortable that is, and how some stuff hits and some stuff don't. I was happy to know I'm not the only one. And, as it relates to apprentices, again, if you hear his messaging on LinkedIn, he's all about building people, building the team. And he drops some major words of wisdom in terms of developing apprentices, both inside and outside the gate. There's also a message of accountability around trade professionals delivering an amazing customer experience and financial awareness, or the need for financial awareness. I mean, this was a super deep, super real conversation. Love to hear your thoughts. Give us some comments, of course. Let us know how riveting it was. Before I let y'all go, got to give a shout out to our patrons that have been supporting us for a very, very long time. They've been contributing. They've been putting ends on this petro so that we can pay for all the little things. Because, there's subscription fees. I'm doing my taxes. I'm like, oh my God, where did all this money go? Well, you know where it went? It went to me having fun and working towards enhancing the image of careers in the trades with y'all. So thank you for your support. If you want to contribute, lend a hand, or just sign up for the email list, head on over to learningsandmissteps.com, hit that email list thingy. There's a little pop-up with my goofy face in it, or hit the become a member and pick a way to give us some cash. All right, I'm going to stop jamming my jaws. I'm going to let y'all hear this conversation with Mr. Edward, your elevator pal. What's going on, L&M family? Here we are with Mr. Edward Rivera up in the NYC. Is that
NYC, man? Yeah, born and raised. And I'm secretly a resident Jersey, though, so don't tell my New York buddies anymore. I'm officially a Jersey resident. So
you lose street cred with that?
I might lose a little bit if I go back to the neighborhood. So I gotta keep it on quiet. They might not even be on LinkedIn, so I'm not too worried.
I got it, man. I love it. So, New York, born and raised?
Born and raised New York, man.
Okay.
Born and raised Brooklyn boy, and maybe even around early 20s, moved to Queens, and was in Queens ever since, I think, about a year and a half ago.
And so you're the elevator pal.
I went with your elevator pal. It's funny. I came up with that, I guess, even kind of before LinkedIn. I was
Okay.
trying to like looking for ways to create value in sorts, and it almost sounds silly. I remember saying it to a couple of friends, like your elevator pal, like that's so cheesy, and I'm like, you know what, I like it. I'm gonna go with it. And then I just started to utilize it, and it's just
Yeah.
kind of stuck. And I think connecting on LinkedIn and the use of it, I've had people in the street that I don't know. I was taking in like a steel delivery or something, an elevator machine, and this guy was like, "You're elevator pal." I'm like, "Get out of here, dude!" He's like, "Yeah, yeah."
I'm TikTok famous.
Yeah. I'm like, "Get out
Dude.
of here." He's like, "Yeah, man, I love watching your stuff and it's inspirational." What's fascinating is that there's what I've come to learn is that like everyone's watching, right? And like everyone's always watching. So there's people who just watch, there's people who engage, right? And there's people who create. Um, at the end of the day, it's all to hopefully gain value from it, right? You don't know sometimes that you're making an impact because people remain like silent. And then at the beginning, when I was creating content, really just showcasing my passion for my profession. It's honest, it's direct, it's who
Yep.
I am.
Yep.
There's these posts that I create. They at this point in my career, in my LinkedIn career, they naturally just flow. Doesn't take much, a couple minutes, and I'm like, wow, because it's just coming from the heart.
Yep.
Sometimes it resonates, sometimes it doesn't resonate, and sometimes you tend to at the beginning it was like, man, I only got 2 likes on this content, but not, you know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah, I
it,
do
it,
know
can,
what you mean.
it can be super discouraging,
Yep.
super, and I'm like at the beginning, like, oh, this isn't great, and I just, I kind of stuck to it. So I'm just gonna it is like, don't like, comment, don't comment. I just want to showcase my passion for my profession. It's
Yeah.
going to resonate with somebody at some point and add value to their life. And that's cool, you know?
Yes. What was it that like instigated within you to say, man, I need to start posting stuff on LinkedIn or wherever else you post?
No, I exclusively utilize LinkedIn,
Got it.
as a free platform service. Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure when it clicked. It just
Hmm.
clicked. I just realized there was a platform. There was a professional platform to connect with like-minded individuals. But I'll tell you what, man, putting yourself out there, it takes a lot too, like this. It takes a
Tell
lot
us
of,
more about that because I don't think
yeah.
people like understand there's
It,
a little bit more going on within the self while you're
oh,
producing.
100%. It really takes, you being comfortable with yourself, right? And just exposing yourself to the world essentially. And again, like I mentioned before, it's going to resonate with some. It may not resonate with everyone, and that's okay. Again,
Yeah.
it's for the content creator to share what it is he or she is looking to share, and you gain an audience from it who's going to value the things you're putting out there.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Well, so that's what caught me. I'm obviously trades, right? I came up as a plumber. I'm down in well, actually, I'm in Dallas today. Um, but when I saw your content, there was multiple layers for me. It was like one, you come across super positive energy, super positive outlook on life. And for me, I value that. Right? There's different messages out there, and I choose to consume positive,
Yeah.
forward thinking ideas. Um, and man, it was, you're always talking about your teams, elevating the people that you work with, talking about quality, talking about excellence, sharing about your. I mean, I saw your video the other day where you're lifting up that damn log. I'm like, man, that
Yeah.
looks like it probably tweaks all your core and everything
I
because
love I love that thing, man. I love
it's
that thing. Yeah,
that is some
yeah.
serious exercise. And talking about the trades, like I'm guessing, did you start in the trades like right out of school? How did that come about?
Oh no, it's I went to vocational high school in Brooklyn. It
Okay.
was a William E. Grady vocational high school to study specifically electrical, and
Okay.
I was determined to go to this school.
Hmm.
Guidance counselors were trying to steer me away. They were saying, "Why
Hmm.
is such an academically strong student wanted to go to a trade school?" It was looked at as kids didn't go to the school; they were just sent there by default, right? And it wasn't like you didn't need a 90 or an A, whatever, to get into the school. It was almost like, the riffraff. So when
People
I
like
went,
me.
yeah. But it was my first choice,
Nice.
and in New York City, at the time, and maybe they still do it, you had to apply for high schools. So you can go to a high school in Manhattan if you got accepted to it. So I just wanted to get into grading. I think I had like 3 choices, all grading. So when I got accepted, yeah, I you weren't gonna deter me. Like, that's definitely wanted to. I knew since kindergarten I was gonna work with my hands, and then I knew I wanted to study electrical probably around junior high school, and then I just went to Grady. And I'll tell you, it was a rough school, man. We had metal detectors, airport bag scanners, wands. It wasn't a walk in the park.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was certainly determined to obtain that education. That was my focus. Like, went in there and focused and graduated. After graduating, so the one thing about the school, it did have a rich history of you really putting out quality tradesmen, and the MTA, Local 3, Con Edison. As soon as you graduate, it was like, take these exams, wait for them to call you. This is going to be, this is kind of your future. Like, a lot of guys ended up in Local 3, the electrical union, or they ended up in Con Ed, or they ended in MTA. So it's like, wow, these are cool opportunities. And I really thought I was going to go to the MTA, and I had this vision of like, I'm going to go there, I'm going to learn this profession, I'm going to move up the ranks, and I'm going to, even at that age in high school, I was like, I wasn't looking for a job. I was looking I'm not even sure what I was looking for, but whatever it was I was going to do, I was going to pour everything into it. That's one thing that's absolutely certain about me. So while I was waiting to be called, jobs, right? Like, as soon as it's funny, as soon as I graduated high school, I remember my high school graduation. I hugged my parents and I went to work. Like, there was no party. There was no party at the graduated high school. It was immediately. I actually had to go to work. Like, I got work. I gotta go. I remember so vividly. Yeah, and I went to work. So I mean, as soon as I graduated, I just went right into it, and I was taking like odd jobs until until one of these organizations called me for my dream job. And while I was waiting for this dream job, my father's coworker and friend, Eddie Garcia, was the karate teacher of a man named Dan Nichols. Dan Nichols was the co-founder of Boca Group, which is an elevator consulting firm in New York.
Okay.
And my dad said, "Hey, I have a job interview for you with an elevator company." Awesome. Let's do it. Yeah, And I remember the night before reading my motor control books, AC, DC, just kind of like refreshing in case they ask me any like technical questions. I wanted to, have a handle on it. And sure enough, I go to the interview in the MetLife building, which was 200 Park Avenue here in New York City. Massive commercial real estate.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is weird for an elevator company, right?
Okay.
This is a fancy place. And I went into the conference room, and the conference room was fancy. And in walks Dan Nichols, God rest his soul, was this big burly guy. He had a presence about him, And he walked in and he sat down across from me, and he said, "So how are your filing skills?" Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Well, I didn't even say that. I just, in my head, I was like, "What? My filing skills?" And of course, naturally, my auto response was, "They're excellent." And he said, "Okay, when can you start?" I was like, "Today, tomorrow." He says, "Go upstairs, see Jennifer, $7 an hour." So, okay, sir. I just took the job. I was like, I'm still waiting for my dream call for to do something. But in the meantime, let's see what this consulting company is all about.
Okay.
Who knew there was such a thing as vertical transportation consulting?
Yeah.
I didn't, but yeah. While I was there, it was interesting. I became like very observant of everyone and how project managers handled themselves, how the administrative staff handled themselves, how sales personnel had. I was very in tune with emulating. So I would look at someone and go, okay, interesting. Let me take some of that from this person. Let me take some of that from this person. Then I just got interested in it, right? I just kind of went all in. If I'm going to do this, let's go all in. And I would take home specifications.
Nice.
Yeah, I would take them home. I would take them home and I would read them to get an idea of the jargon. Had no clue what any of it really meant, from a practical standpoint. But, let me learn the jargon, this terminology, and while I was filing papers. From there, Dan Nichols gave me more and more responsibility. Then I started working side by side with the consultants and side by side with the project managers and assisting with writing specifications and bid package, leveling sheets. And it was a really great, fantastic experience. Fantastic experience. It's actually a backwards career path for most in the elevator business. Generally, you build elevators and before you retire,
then go to consulting.
Yeah, consult on them. All right. So as I was progressing with my career there was a point where I realized, man, I still want to work with my hands. Like, I don't really want to give up on that dream. And I really find elevators interesting. So perhaps I can get into the elevator union. Let me learn the profession I'm going to be a consultant on. Right? How can I really speak about it if I haven't actually done the work? At the very least, that's how I felt about it. And Dan Nichols, God rest his soul, he ended up passing away. So he was really like the first person in my professional career who believed in me.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, it was inspiring. He gave just something about him. He gave me just gave me a chance, and I respected that. He let me mess up. I remember a couple times messing up, and he wasn't mad, but it was almost like a father figure. Like, he's disappointed in you, and you're like, man, I can't let that happen again.
Oh yeah.
I got to do better. But when he went, I just almost saw it as like, now's the time to transition.
Okay.
Let's get into it. And working there, I got to connect with a lot of the players of the industry.
Yep.
And they were always like, "Hey, kid, you want a job? You call me. All right." Hey,
they
job,
do.
Yeah. You call me. I ended up calling Mark Gregorio, who's the president and founder of TEI Group, which is my current employer.
Okay.
And I went to go meet with him, and sure enough, he thought I was going to go work for him at the capacity as a project manager. And I said, no, I want to build elevators. And he's like, okay, that's interesting. Very interesting. He said, man, listen, if you can learn how to build elevators and incorporate your current skill set, you're going to be of extreme value sometime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was when I was, he made it happen. Like the next day, I went down to the union hall, picked up my union card, and boom, I was in the elevator business. But what was really crazy is when I was walking out of his office, I saw a book on the shelf. I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Looks very familiar." I go and I grab the book. I bring it over. I open it. I'm like, "Mark, you went to Grady?" He's like, "Yeah." Oh, yeah, Grady graduate. And I've come to learn that a lot of the elevator personnel in New York were Grady graduates.
Okay.
Which was that vocational high school in Brooklyn. It was,
yeah.
Pretty much all of them study the same program, study the electrical, went through the course, and now I blink from that day. I think it's 15 years now, 15 years later.
Yeah. And now you're TikTok famous.
Yeah.
I'm messing with you, man. So, man, I got a bazillion questions, so I'm gonna try to be try not to get too scatterbrained, because, man, I think your story is amazing, and I'm grateful to you for sharing it with us, because we need to get it. It's gonna get out. We're gonna get it out, right? And I'm sure you're doing that. I know you're gonna be talking with Davis and Walker here soon. Like, that's awesome, with laying foundation. They're super cool cats. You were on the live stream this morning. So a few things. I guess the first thing, this high school that's producing phenomenal construction professionals.
Yeah.
Does building elevators qualify as construction?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We do brand new. Yep.
I mean, in my head, like, people have gotten after me, like, Jesse, you just call everything construction. Like, okay, fair enough. Like I don't, service is a little different. Maintenance is a little
Well, yeah,
different.
listen, granted, I mean, listen, you can go into the service side of the industry, you can go into the new installation, new construction side of the industry, you can go into, where we modernize, where we're
Yep.
going into buildings and upgrading, and then there's a repair. So there are a couple of different avenues you can take in the elevator profession,
Yeah.
from a fields perspective. But yeah, call it construction, man. That's what it is.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I came up as a plumber, same thing, right? Residential plumber.
Yeah.
You will fire me if I go and do residential plumbing because I don't know how to do it. Give me in a commercial building, new construction, I got you. Right?
Yeah.
Service, I'm not your guy. It's gonna take me 3 days to fix the stupid faucet. I'll just go buy a new one. Like,
Yeah.
so there's
Yeah.
different skill sets, right? Now you talk about the high school, and back in the day, there were metal detectors and security, all these things that I mean, that's what it is where we come from. But it has produced amazing professionals.
Yeah.
How tight is that connection, or how could we help people understand that school is producing amazing professionals that are experiencing amazing careers? Like, is it seen in that light, or is it still seen like,
I don't. Yeah. So I guess from the high school perspective now, I'm not too sure. What I do know about the school is its programs. They're completely gone.
ooh,
Yeah.
damn.
So
Okay.
when I was attending, you can study electrical, and it was literally, on top of your like academic education, you were in a vocational education for 4 years. You could study HVAC at the time. You could have studied automotive. You could have studied carpentry, and I don't mean like study with a book. I mean real hands-on.
Do it. Yep.
You're building the stuff. Yeah, robotics. I recently, maybe like a year or two ago, I remember going on their website to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And more now, they do provide vocational, but it's more encompass of everything. So I think it's a little bit of everything, almost like
Got it.
a general practitioner, maybe providing not as in depth as it was before.
Yeah.
Why it happened, I'm not sure. I think a part of it was nobody taking advantage of the education. I saw it. I was like, what the fuck are you all doing? Like, this is a free, amazing education. Like,
Yeah.
to the guys around me, I'm like, what are you guys doing, bro? Do you not see the value in this education? This education will cost tens of thousands of dollars outside of this school. And listen, I think, yeah, I mean, I was one of a handful who really took advantage of it, at least in my graduating class, who was
Yeah.
really like, I'm here to learn this. And I was, I did well in school,
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
school, especially when I was passionate about it. There was no like, I was, I wear my heart on my sleeve. And even back then, I have to be driven by a purpose.
Yep.
Like I genuinely have to be. I'm very like, if something doesn't, I don't have this purpose or this drive or want to be somewhere, I won't go. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel good about it. My energy's off. I keep that very close to the chest. I value that extremely.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll get involved with a project that's just like this. No, this is not right. Doesn't feel right for me.
Hmm.
Or I'll be given job opportunities that
Yep.
just don't, as amazing as they are, just
Mm-hmm.
don't resonate with my, how I view life and my
Yep.
energy and what I value most. But going back to the school, taking advantage of it, it's something I sought out, and I hear it all the time. Like, how do we get kids to, see the value in the trades? And it just doesn't compute with me because this is what I want to do. All right. So it was like,
Oh, no,
yeah.
do
Like, what do you mean? You gotta convince somebody to do this, but I can also see the narrative of where, because even my guidance counselors were pushing a different narrative.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So they didn't necessarily see the value in the school. It was like almost like a dumping ground for
Yep.
the misfits. Yeah, there was definitely that message of, going to college and listen, man, there's extreme value in whatever path you're going to take, man.
Yep.
Trade school, college, you decide, it's at the end of the day, it's going to be what you make of it.
Yep.
I mean, even in my profession and in my industry, a lot of us are a lot more than just elevator techs. We're also real estate investors. Like, you know, we have a good understanding of the stock market. Like, you know, and that's been really cool too. Connecting with like-minded individuals in the profession. You'd be surprised. I get kids coming in here and they're like, you know, listen, man, you're making good money. Where's, you know, how much you're putting into your 401k? And it's just basic investments. And he's like, nothing. I go, you live at home, you're making a ton of money, and you're not investing any of it. And at the least, do your 401k. And it, you know, it comes down, I don't know anything about it, right? It comes to, yeah, no, it doesn't come to, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. Like, hey, man, you know, why don't you start buying some stock? Buy a little bit here, a little bit there, you know, play the long game. But openly having these dialogues, it's of value, you know.
Yes.
So you can go into college and graduate and follow a passion and a profession, and trade schools, so on and so forth. But it's not just that, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, you can be a college grad and become a tradesman, or, you know, a tradesman and become a college grad. You know, both venues add value to your career. But if you're not passionate about it, forget about it.
Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it?
Why do it? Why do it? It's just, I guess, if you know, it's not one dimensional, right? You're not in this box. You there's so much more you can do as a tradesperson, or you know, a college graduate, or there's a lot. It's never ending. It really comes down to what you make of it. And listen, I'm talking to you on a cell phone. This is it's a supercomputer in your hand, right? Like, if you're not, you can invest on your phone. You can obtain knowledge on your phone. You can educate yourself on the phone. Like, it's so readily available to you, that we should all be taking advantage. Yeah, and, you know, and kind of accelerating in our lives. But it comes down to what you're going to decide to do with it.
So that's like kind of the second question I have. It comes across that when something resonates or something lands with you, like, you're all in or you're not. And when you're all in, it's like, get out of the way. This is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Even back to when you were in high school, right? You've said in middle school, you knew you wanted to be an electrician. Where does that come from?
Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, because I remember vividly in kindergarten saying, I'm gonna build stuff. I remember blocks. Blocks was my favorite thing. It was absolutely my favorite thing in the world. Building blocks, and I was like, man, I'm gonna work with my hands. And also, my father was a blue collar.
Okay.
He's an operating engineer. So he works with his hands. I don't know, but, you know, I didn't want to do what he did, but, you know, I got to see his work. Maybe that was partially inspiring. I couldn't pinpoint one thing that kind of led me down this path, or why I was so passionate about it. I don't know. I was so in tune with it. It just made sense to me. I was like, I'm gonna just do this. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it really well.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't say, you know, exactly one thing. If anything, my father told me work ethic. Like, we grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment, right? And it was 5. So my father would be up like 4:30, 5 o'clock every single day. Now, we're in a 1-bedroom. So when one person's up, everyone. Listen, I have the same internal alarm clock. Like, I don't need a clock. I'm up. There's no such thing as sleeping in for me. I'm like, sleeping in is 6 o'clock. Like, I can't. And if I force myself, I'll actually feel terrible for the rest of the day. Like, physically feel out of whack. So I've been getting up at this time forever. But one thing was interesting about my father was that man was always up. Always up. And he always went to work. He, you know, no matter what he did, and he had some problems, you know, with alcohol. You know, he always put his boots on, and he went to work. And that was like a work ethic I picked up from him, you know.
Yeah.
And even like my grandfather used to be like, "Mijo, you want to be a man tonight? You better be a man in the morning."
Yep.
You know, it's essentially telling me, you know, you're gonna have to own your choices. All right, take responsibility for your actions. You want to go out tonight? By all means, go out, have a good time, do whatever you want to do, mijo. But you better be up, and you got to do what you have to do. In the morning. You know, and that, like, the work ethic from them, always it stuck with me and resonated with me. But yeah, I mean, to single out why I wanted to work with my hands, I have no clue.
I love the story, the impact that your family had on you around work ethic.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of stretch this here a little bit because from the sense that what we see, we emulate.
Yeah.
Right? Like what we see, what we surround ourselves with, we will reflect back into the world. And like taking it to the social media thing, I used to like, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, social media to me was just jacking around and posting dumb stuff and reading dumb. Like I didn't see any value in it, or
Yeah.
I just didn't leverage it. Now, the way you show up on social media, I mean, I'm totally drawn to you. Put great content out there, and I guess what I see in the future is folks like you and all the other professionals out there that are posting a not just positive, but like a responsible message out there on social media. I'm anticipating that there'll be future generations that see that and do that also, right? Kind of like
Yeah.
Pops was like, hey, got to put your boots on, right? You went out, you had some drinks, good, but it's time to work, period.
Yeah.
All the time, every time. And you're setting the example of showing up positive, responsible, ownership, team, excellent. Like, I'm hoping to see other people come out with the same type of message, a responsible message. Thank you. I guess bottom line, thank you, bro, for showing up the
Yeah.
way you show up because it's meaningful. We need that. Like, I feel when people ask, the question you mentioned earlier, there's always like, how do we convince students? Like, well, I don't know if there's a convincing. How do we stop convincing them to do something else? Like, how
Yeah.
about we just show that there's a bunch of options and stop
Yeah.
saying there's only one track? I don't think you need
Yep.
to convince them. You've been convincing them to do something else. And also, there was a time in my career when I was out there in the field and I was propagating the stereotype, right? Catcalling, cussing, screaming, I was not representing our craft professionals appropriately. And
Listen, man,
since then,
if I cat called, my mother would slap me right across the face.
so right? Like if
Yeah.
they find out, it's all me.
Yeah. That, I don't know
Yeah.
how so cut you off. I just thought about my mother. I was like, man, I never did it. If I were, I could just imagine my mother giving me a whooping on that one.
Well, and
You better
that's just it, right? We gotta be responsible. We gotta be respectful as craft workers, craft professionals, and set that example for everybody else. You talked about helping out your people, talking them through investing their money. Like that's one thing that I've noticed. I've played different roles in different organizations now, but in the trades, it was more pronounced in that there was usually one individual or at least a couple that were really looking to help the apprentices, the kids, right? The kids that were coming up in the trade and give them guidance on, hey, handle your money this way. And hey, maybe, don't go buy that motorcycle. You're 20
Yeah.
years old. You got a pretty girlfriend. That motorcycle ain't gonna it looks fine now, but long term, that's not a good play. And so you're taking that responsibility around that. How do you instill that in your teams?
It just comes down to openly communicating about it, right? And having
Yeah.
these discussions, right? When I got into the profession, like an old school, mentality was, you live on 40, kid. They tell you, kid, you live on 40, live on 40. And it was like, what are you talking about? Well, you live on 40 hours a week. And there's always overtime,
Yeah.
but you don't want to base your life dependent on that overtime.
Mm.
So that's still a message I mean, I still hear, I still share with the guys. A lot of the projects, they'll always, again, overtime is almost always there.
Yep.
So it's an opportunity to earn additional income, but that's where you can leverage yourself, especially in your early age. You take this extra money, and again, you whatever it is you're going to do. And again, I'm not a financial guru or wizard, but just fundamentals. You can do the basics, and you'll thank me later when in 20 years. You know what I mean? You're like, wow,
Yeah.
dude, I didn't notice the $200 I was putting in a week before taxes, and now I have 300,000 in my investment. I didn't, it is something to to share, and something I do share, I'm very vocal about it. And
Good.
I think something is like how do you, I was listening to the talk earlier, and like, like who's going to listen to you, right? Who's going to receive your message? Who are you to even be talking to these people? And I think for the most part, for myself in my career, in my profession, I've built a reputation, right? And it's something where when apprentices come to my job, they know two things. One, I hold the highest of standards. There is zero compromising on any standard. Two, you're going to work your tail off, right? You're going to do what it is you're paid to do. And I guess the third one is you're going to learn your craft. You keep the standards high, you do what you need to do, and I promise you, I will teach you your craft. Like, but you have a responsibility, right? And in the beginning, it's going to be organizing, cleaning. If you can do that for me, I can teach you elevators, right? Because those are really good habits that you're going to go from cleaning really well and organizing to learning your craft. And those habits, kind of trickle over. But getting that message across, and then because essentially what they start to feel is, wow, this guy's invested in me, because I really am invested in them.
Yes.
I'm invested. When I say I'm talking about the next generation, you can speak to any apprentice who's come across my path. I speak the same message, and I want to see the same value being delivered and developed throughout the industry. But I'm also quick to remove those who don't see the value in it. You're wasting someone's seat. So that's something we need to get good at, because, and I get pushback on this, but I don't believe we owe anyone anything. I don't believe I don't believe I'm owed anything. I don't believe, I'm not entitled to any of this. I come in every day, even to this day, and I earn it. I have my value. I know what my value is. I know where it is. And you can rest assured that you're getting that value from 7 o'clock to 3:30. That's a same habit to build in these apprentices. Come in here, don't get this level of entitlement. You're gonna end up getting a bad reputation, not just you, but like as a union member, right? You're gonna have this. Well, you're entitled to your pay. I'm guaranteed this pay. I nipped that really quick. I can't change the older generation. I wasn't never looking to each their own, but I really do see an opportunity with the younger technicians and the apprentices coming through the ranks to go, hey, you need to have a good understanding of what value you bring to the table, how important it is to learn your craft all around. For any tradesperson, it feels really good when someone you mentored and groomed is doing well.
I was gonna go there, man. Yeah.
That's like one of the greatest feelings, when it's like, wow, this kid was working alongside me. And I tell them as well, listen, you are completely responsible for your career. You are 100%. It's not me. I may help. You working with me may help accelerate your career. You're going to see a lot more things working with me. You're going to learn a lot more working with me. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to you to go where it is you want to go with your career. When I have like the younger generation saying, man, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to, even like younger mechanics, I would love to work with you. I would love to work with you. I would love to work with you. It feels good, but I create that, I'm there for them. Like I'm there for that process. They're protected in a sense where, I'm leading the job. You're going to mess up on this job. It's my responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I take ownership to all of that. And when you can create this environment where, failure is kind of accepted, they learn quicker. They're not scared to lose, right? They're not scared to fail on something. But that goes into like a whole nother world of really, I guess it really stems back to like building the next generation, giving people opportunities to grow, knowing your teammates, right? I'll have a job and I'll have like 20 something guys, and I could have same scope, same car, and a guy's doing it in, it's hypothetical again, he's doing it in 10 weeks, right?
Yep.
And then I got another guy who's taking 14 weeks, right? But he's putting out a quality car. And he's also like, he's still growing.
Yep.
So that 4-week delta is an investment, right? He or she's gonna get better the next go around, right?
Yep.
Because They're learning their craft. They're looking to do the right thing. They're supported, right? I'm supporting them, highlighting things perhaps that they could have done differently to increase efficiency without compromising safety. Because I tend to say, like, the execution of excellence. It by default, in order to execute excellence, you have to do it safely.
Period.
You can't. Yeah, it's impossible to have that without that. So, but those are guys. I've had a guy with me, Matt, and about 2-3 years. The kid's an all-star. He's a young kid, and to see his growth is just fantastic. And he was just on the job. The job I'm on is coming to an end. So he went over to another job site on his own, and I shook his hand and he left. I said, "Listen, I'm always a phone call away.
Yeah,
always a phone call away." But that's that same thing. Here you go fly.
Yeah.
Go fly. Yeah.
That's an important thing though, because I've seen many managers, leaders, foremen, etc. I've seen some that they will hold that top performer, hide them, so that they keep them, because they make their job easier. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, listen, it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Would I want to keep Matt for the rest of my career by my side? Of course. Like, who's grown, and it's just going to get better and better and better with time. But no, I would never pigeonhole somebody to any career choice. If they wanted to go, to another company, whatever it is they want to do that they feel they need to do for their growth, man, go ahead, man. You got my complete support.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's great. Like my apprentice, my current apprentice and partner, Chris, he's been tagged a lot on my LinkedIn post. What's interesting about him, speaking of pigeonholing, I'm not saying he was being pigeonholed, but he was working for another department.
Okay.
Repair department. He hit him and his partner, they came to my job to lend some assistance because I needed some experienced hands to do a specific scope of work. The guys on my job didn't have the skill set at the time. So I called this team in and I saw this kid. I'm like, wow, this kid has something special.
Yeah.
Just his demeanor, his attitude, his work ethic, just the way he carried himself. And then I had we finished that scope, and then a couple months later I needed a similar assistance. So the same team came over, and I was like, no, we're doing this kid a disservice, keeping him this department. Not taking anything away from that department. I just felt as though he had the potential to learn more in like a modernization project or a new construction project. And I reached out to the company. I said, listen, we're doing a disservice to this kid. We're doing a disservice to this company and a disservice to this industry if we're going to keep him in that department. I'm sure he can learn some more, but his growth is going to accelerate. We're going to develop a talented technician if he comes with me.
Coincidentally, I think I can help.
If he comes with me, and sure enough, what's really great too about TEI's ownership was they understand the value of people, right? So they was like, yeah, you know what? If you think that's the case, we're gonna make that happen.
Wow.
And where he came from, obviously they weren't happy about it because here goes their ace.
Yeah, their ace.
Right?
Yeah.
Ace. Here's like their ace. Their ace apprentice. But they would take some stabs at him, when he left, but more in good nature, and it's been a pleasure seeing how far he's come along too. So.
That story right there kind of perfectly displays one of your quotes, right? The piece that resonates with me the most is, but above all, build people. Do you have like swag with your whole quote on there yet?
Huh? I had some shirts. So I had coffee cups. I just wasn't able to create it at a volume that made financial sense for me. I didn't want to sell $50. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not trying to make a killer profit here, but I'm not able to generate the requested volume to me. I mean, I'm very like frugal in a sense, right? I hold my money tight, right? It's like a $50 cup or a $30 cup. I would never buy that. How can I charge somebody for that? But quote, build elevators, build escalators, but above all, build each other. Dude, I don't know where it came from. It came from me 100%. And I just like, it was, I can't even remember the day when it came. It just made sense to me. I was just like, obviously it's specific to my profession, right? Build elevators, build escalators, but above all, build each other. Because that's the most important part, is the part at the end, right? To build each other. And it's so much more than a quote, right? For me, it really is just super important for me to help build those around me, right? I didn't come from much, and this profession offers much.
Yes.
And it's something, I've taken complete advantage of in growing myself, taking really learning my craft and learning my profession. And I'm still learning my craft, learning my profession.
Yep.
Each project I get better at running projects, can I run a project now with my eyes closed? Yeah, it's second nature, but I get better at it. And the part I get better at is the interaction with people, with my teammates, and at engaging. And each time it's nearly impossible for me to coast. I can't do it.
You gotta elevate the game. Elevate the game.
Always something, always an opportunity to get better at my profession, better at building people. But knowing my craft, I've begun to focus on helping those around me get better at their craft, whether it's project management or the actual art of building elevators or customer service, often underlooked, but vital part to the whole experience. And I tell the guys and girls all the time, listen, the customer's experience, like we're a customer driven business, right? And their end experience is what's going to, drive repeat business. Similar to the sense where if I go out and I spend $20 on dinner and I have a bad experience, that $20 will bother me. Like, tremendously. Like, it'll bother me all week. Man, that $20, I could have done something else with $20. Or I go out and I spend $20 and have a great experience, I don't even think about the $20, right? So that same thought process kind of stuck with me when I'm running projects or interacting with the customer. How do I ensure they have a good experience? All right. How do I get that repeat business? And this is not my business, but I want to be able to, really, and not even so much the repeat business, because that does occur, but more like I want them to see the value in what they're paying for. That's important to me. I tell the guys and the girls, show them your worth, right? Show them your value. We're trade professionals, but we're also union members, right? So we have a package. We have to justify that package day in and day out, right?
Every day.
And circles back to my thing of entitlement. Don't become complacent and don't become entitled, because at some point that may not be there, right? They may get tired. Why would you pay for a $50 steak and have a bad experience when you could pay for a $20 steak and have a great experience? So these are messages as well that I try to put out there to the technicians I come across. It's super important, man. At some point, someone's just not going to want to pay. So we all have a responsibility to create the value in our trades.
100%. What stands out to me, Edward, is your focus or your mode of operation is around contributing, around serving, not taking, not achieving, serving, and through serving, you're achieving great outcomes. And I applaud you for that. So here's not the secret question, but the question people got. Two questions that I like to get people tripped up on. So one is, you ready? You ready?
Oh, I'm ready, buddy. I'm ready.
So what is lots of experience, man, that you've been through, and it doesn't matter. It can be in the workplace, it can be at home, family. What is a significant learning that you've had as a result of like a painful, stinky misstep?
Oh, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's a trippy one. A painful, stinky misstep. Yeah, you got me tripped there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like something that went terribly wrong,
but you walked away. It wasn't fun, man. But you walked away with some good stuff that you carried forward.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know if this applies, but one thing I felt like I thought I was doing something right, and it actually ended up not being right.
Okay.
It wasn't wrong, but it wasn't the most efficient thing. And
Okay.
I guess maybe there's probably more, but the one thing that comes to mind was.
All right, y'all. We got a bit of a change here. Yes, I'm breaking up the flow, and that's not going to change. It's going to stay the same. But the L&M family has spoken out, and we've heard you loud and clear. What we are doing is the backstage passes, these clips that you're not going to be able to listen to on this audio version, are now going to be available to everybody on our YouTube channel. So hit up our YouTube channel, subscribe, follow, like, hit all the buttons, and give yourself a little bit of a learnings and missteps marathon and catch up on all the outtakes. We want to hear your comments and we want to know what you're learning from these things, because all of our guests have shared some pretty intimate missteps and have had some pretty profound learnings. And we hope that you can take that and apply that going forward and even teach it to your people, the people you care about. So that is going to be the deal going forward. Thank you for supporting us, and back to the show. And so that's a phenomenal lesson, my man. That's a great lesson there.
Yeah. Oh. That's fun. Hilarious.
Yeah. So I don't collect anything anymore. It's like, chunk it. If somebody don't want to come, we can't donate it. Somebody don't want to come pick it up, just get rid of it, guys. Because like you went through, we have to show the math, right? Show like, look, here's the whole picture. And then the guys are like, oh, damn, I didn't even think about that. I was like, and that's okay. So now we understand. So going forward, we can make better decisions.
On that note, and it's something I feel is missing in like potentially like vocational educations, but also like, you know, through like the union programs, is like the project finances. Like you should go out there with a kind of a solid understanding of what it is. You know, the expense incurred on a job, like how much is the labor rate? How much are we burning? What's your burn rate? Have a good idea, because, you know, I'll talk to people, and I'm one of those like 7 o'clock, we're all up and we're starting work. There's no diddle daddle, like, let's go. You know, and we're working on our times, but everyone just understands that, right? That's the standard. It's either you're a part of that or you could just go, you know. And everyone respects that, right? But I also highlight, listen, do you understand what happens when I have 12 guys and I'm sitting here for an hour at $100 an hour per person, right? That's $1,200, and then if you take a long lunch, right, then it's $2,400, and that's just for one day. Take that same, even summarize it to $2,000 for that one day, right? Take that 2,000 times it by 5. We do that every single day. You literally have taken $10,000 away from this company. Every week. And then you go, listen, you do that for 1 year, you just did $500,000 in just doing nothing. You gotta, you know. I'm serious. Because you wanted to diddle daddle. That goes back to that level of entitlement. We get paid for the 40. The goal should be put out 40 hours of production. Certainly there's snafus and things that occur, that's, you know, and there's a lot of things that can take that away, but you shouldn't be a part of that taking away. All right. So that's something that should be taught for 100%. Like
like we don't get paid for perfect attendance. We get paid to produce.
We get paid to produce. And a lot of times when they see the dollar amount, then it computes like, wow, you know, I say you should be arrested for grand larceny, my man. Like, you know. That's like, do you realize that's a felony what you're doing right now? You know, and sometimes they don't get it, but when you present it that way, it does tend to strike a little closer to home, and like, wow, you know what, you're right, dude. We got to kind of put out there, and, you know, you got to respect the businesses you're working for, right? They're the ones who are shelling out that money. What those businesses don't exist, you're not getting that income. That's part of the project success, right? Again, you don't want to be part of the project failure. Like things will occur, but you don't want to be the reason it failed, right? You know, and there's many ways to define failure, but you know, and a lot of things occur on projects that you just can't, you know, change. And sometimes things are out of law, but the things you can control, like showing up on time, putting in the work. Those are the things you should be adding to the experience. And that's something that definitely should be taught, you know.
Yep.
Even the cost of a piece of EMT and plywood, you know, because then you start to order a lot more lean to an extent. You know, we utilize the same material for the most part. So I do, you know, take material with me from job to job, but nothing tremendous. Like I'm not, you know, I have my cabinets full of stuff, and it's, you know, the old school mechanic is like, listen, kid, it's better to be looking at it than for it. So I do take things, you know, I take things with me to projects, but you know, 10-foot sticks of pipe and stuff. I'm very like lean. Like I order specific for that project. I count everything I need. I don't want to be moving those things around.
Over and over.
Yeah, over and over again.
I think I'm excited for your answer to this next question, Ed.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. So what footprint do you intend to leave on this world?
Ooh. I think as cliche as it sounds, it's really you can achieve anything. Like you really you can really achieve anything you really want to set yourself out to achieve. My passion for my profession was something I have, but I set out to do this, right? I set out to be the top of the top, you know, like that was my goal, was to be a value adder. And I hope, if anything, I'm able, you know, with that goal that I've always had to be a value adder and a contributor to those around me, that just resonates, and that, you know, same thought process and habits and beliefs, you know, the next guy is going to just kind of pass that along. So when you think it's possible, you can definitely achieve it. You know, aim to be at the top of your game, and it doesn't mean you're better than others. I don't think that one bit. I aim to be at the top of my game in order to add value to others around me. And if those who I've added value to can take the same experience they had with me, then I think I left a good mark on the world.
Yeah, man. Gangsta. I love it. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Man, I'm telling you, it's thank you again. I'm grateful to you for being, I mean, just a solid, straight up representative of what craft workers, craft professionals are. Right? Like you're setting the example, you're holding yourself to a high standard, you're developing people, you're giving back, you're concerned about you're aware and responsible. What's the word? A good steward of the company's finances. You understand the value of the customer and client experience. Like that is craft workers. That is trades professionals. You're just doing a phenomenal job of. I am grateful to be represented by you, my man. You're doing it right.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
You're giving me something to, like, I'm thinking, damn it, I need to clean up my game over here on this side because Ed's doing it. Man, so is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, or anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't?
No, I mean, you great questions, great discussion. I probably went off tangent a couple of times, but that's just me, man. Just talking from the heart. Yeah, just grateful. Definitely thanks to, you know, the professionals in my career who saw something in me and gave me opportunity. I hope they feel as though we both mutually benefited from the experience.
Didn't I tell you, man? Like, he's the kind of guy that you just want to hang out with, right? Like, have coffee with, pick his brain, get some advice. I want to be his helper someday when I grow up. He's just made a career change, so let's celebrate him. Find him on LinkedIn and follow him. And now it's time to shout out one of the L&M family members. This shout out goes to Mr. Anson Green, the trailblazer. You know, I got to meet Mr. Anson Green serving on the Texas Workforce Development Committee. So Anson Green says, love what the tribe is doing for the people side of the industry. Now, that people side conversation comes directly out of the No BS with Jen and Jess. Y'all may be familiar. Many of you are already No BS Tribe members. We're going to be live streaming this coming Saturday, which is, what is it, April 16th, and then every other Saturday after that. We'd love for you all to join us. And Anson's 100% right. That's the entire conversation is around the people side of business and how we need to take care of each other and how we need to serve people appropriately, because we're all humans and we're all better together. So Anson, thank you, sir. And y'all out there, keep your ears peeled, because Anson's going to be interviewing me on his podcast. It's titled Behind Every Employer. Check them out. They're totally focused on workforce development. And Anson's a baller. Like, if you're looking for guidance, best practices, a network that can help you really soup up your workforce development program, Anson is the man to connect to. So be cool, and we'll talk at you next time. Peace.